Hi, and welcome to Force Friday. And this is a special Force Friday. This is my 50th educational video that I've made since schools have been shut down. So thanks for watching, and thank you to all the people that have given me over 3,000 views on Facebook and YouTube since I've been making these. That comes out to over 60 people per video, and that's a pretty big classroom. So I like that. It makes me happy. So today's Force Friday in Star Wars, which makes me happy. So I've read from the Star Wars five minute Star Wars stories. I've read from New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So I'm going to finish it out today with the Death Star battle from Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi Death Star battle. Not a scratch, Lando thought as he powered up the Millennium Falcon and flew into position. The rebellion had a chance to surprise the Empire and destroy the new Death Star before it was finished, just like it had destroyed the first Death Star years before. Lando knew it would be a tough battle, but he had promised his friend Han Solo he would take care of Han's ship, the Millennium Falcon, and Lando wasn't going to let his friend down again. There's the Falcon. Lando heard Admiral Akbar's voice through the comlink. All crafts, prepare to jump into hyperspace on my mark. Lando punched in the coordinates to Endor, the small forest moon near the new Death Star. He had a good co-pilot, an alien named Ninub, but Lando still wished his friend Han was with him. But Han Solo was on a secret mission to bring down the Death Star's shields from the forest of Endor. If he didn't succeed, Lando and the rest of the rebellion wouldn't be able to destroy the new Death Star. Admiral Akbar commanded the fleet to advance, and as one, all the ships leapt into hyperspace. In what seemed like moments, Lando found himself right in front of the skeleton of the new Death Star. He stared in awe. It was bigger than he could have ever imagined. So there's Lando and Ninov, and there's the new Death Star being built. All wings report in, Lando ordered the fleet. Red leader standing by, said Wedge Antilles, adjusting his controllers a little. Unlike Lando, Wedge had seen a Death Star before, and this time Wedge planned to fire the shot that destroyed it. Lando prepared for their surprise attack on the new Death Star, but Neen shouted in alarm. The sensors were jammed. How could they be jamming us if they don't know if we're coming? Lando said. Suddenly he realized the rebellion had made a mistake. The Emperor, Darth Sidious, had known they were coming all along. Break off the attack, he ordered. So there's Wedge. And there's Lando and Ninub. Oh no, they look a little surprised. Wedge checked his own sensors, but there was nothing there. I get no reading. You sure? Said Lando. Asked Lando. Just then, an entire fleet of the Emperor's forces appeared out of nowhere. The rebel fleet was completely outnumbered. Take evasive action, cried Admiral Akbar from his command ship. It's a trap! It's a famous line from Return of the Jedi. There's Admiral Akbar saying, it's a trap! Imperial TIE fighters raced toward the rebel fleet, firing blast after blast. Wedge and his fellow rebel X-Wing pilots zoomed past Lando to fight back. Not a scratch, Lando thought, as he maneuvered the Falcon into attack position. Just then, a huge blast came from the Death Star, destroying a rebel ship. The Falcon rocked from the blast, and Lando looked up at the Death Star in amazement. It was still under construction. It wasn't supposed to be operational yet. All craft, prepare to retreat, Admiral Akbar ordered. The rebels didn't stand a chance now that the Death Star's powerful laser was working. So there's the Death Star, blasting a ship. Not good news for the rebels. Lando knew they wouldn't have another opportunity to destroy this new Death Star. Besides, Han would deactivate the shields down on Endor. He just needed more time. Han wouldn't let them down. Lando ordered the rebel fleet to move closer to the Imperial forces. They wouldn't last long against Star Destroyers, but Lando knew they wouldn't survive another second against the Death Star with its shields still up, and the Death Star wouldn't fire at its own ships. Wedge flew through the Imperial fleet, trying to take down as many TIE fighters as he could. But there was always another ship to fight. The Empire's forces seemed endless. There was a huge space battle going on. There's the Falcon. Just then, the shields of the Death Star came down. Han's mission was a success. "Ha ha, I told you I'd do it," Lando told Nenub. It was finally time to attack the Death Star. "Here goes nothing," Lando cried. The Millennium Falcon flew through a gap in the Imperial defenses and into the Death Star. Wedge followed close behind, but the rebels weren't alone. TIE fighters raced after them, firing blast after blast. Wedge and Lando battled their way to the heart of the Death Star. There, right in front of them, was the power generator. Wedge took a deep breath and fired around at the Death Star's weak point. Lando fired after him and then smiled in awe as the reactor exploded. They had done it! Well, there they are, going into the Death Star and going right up into the power generator and blowing it up. But Lando and Wedge were still in trouble. They raced back toward open space, but the Death Star was collapsing around them. Just before the entrance closed, Wedge and the Millennium Falcon escaped. "Yeehaw!" Lando cried. Behind them, the Emperor's ultimate weapon exploded. The rebel fleet had won. Well, there they are, escaping the Death Star. They made it out. Lando and his rebellion friends celebrated their victory on the moon of Endor. Lando looked everywhere until he saw his friend Han. Not a scratch, he thought as he gave his friend a hug. Not a scratch. But actually, the Millennium Falcon did get a scratch. That's in the movie, but you can watch that later. But the point is, the friends won the battle, and they're celebrating after. So I hope you enjoyed my last installment of 5-minute Star Wars stories. I don't know if I'm going to do any more videos. This might be the last one. If something strikes my fancy, I might make another one. But thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend and awesome summer.